Journey with me into the depths of mystery. We will uncover UFOs and the unexplained, missing persons, murders and outrageous crimes, serial killers and the manhunts that pursue them, ghosts and psychic mediums, miracles, the divine, investigations, creepiest mysteries,
and scary stuff.
The simulation theory. I don't know about anybody else, but sometimes in the dead of night, I wake up with these random, creepy, existential thoughts that go racing through my head. Things like, what was here before the universe? Was there something before nothing? Who created the creator? How long is infinity? Things like that. There's one theory out there that's actually backed up by reputable scientists that can rival these thoughts. It's called the simulation theory. The theory basically goes like this. It states that the reality that we are living in could more likely than not be a simulation. A simulation. A simulation. This means everything, you, me, and the dog, the store down the road, everything is a simulation. Most likely a computer simulation. The questions, the paradoxes, there's so much to melt your mind with. This is not a new theory, however. You can trace back similar trains of thought to antiquity, where philosophers would ask things like, how can you tell dreams from reality? And how can you prove you're not in one right now? Even in popular culture, films like The Matrix would ask the same thing. I guess it's ingrained in us to ask the question, and you have to wonder why. Reality, however, might be closer to fiction than we ever imagined it to. Take Nick Bostrom. In 2003, the philosopher kind of updated the talk and brought it back to the modern day by asserting that absolutely one of the three must be true. Number one, we as humans never reach the point of creating a perfect simulated universe because we get wiped out before we can. 2, our future selves will never be interested in creating a perfect simulation universe because we just won't want to. Or 3, that we are living in a simulation right now and don't even know it. Okay, that's a pretty lame talking point. I could have come up with something like that. Anywho, that's not why we're here. The real meat and potatoes is the proof of this stuff that is backed up by guys way smarter than me. There is this theoretical physicist, James Gates, that talks finding computer code in the very fabric of space.
So where has this pursuit taken you?
Oh my God.
Where have you landed?
Why would you ask that?
I'm asking that here and now. It's New York City. It's March 7th.
Well, partly it's taken to these very strange images that are behind your head right now. These are pictures of equations. I've been, for the last 15 years, trying to answer the kinds of questions that my colleagues here have been raising. And what I've come to understand is that there are these incredible pictures that contain all the information of a set of equations that are related to string theory. And it's even more bizarre than that, because when you then try to understand these pictures, you find out that buried in them are computer codes just like the type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web. And so I'm left with the puzzle of trying to figure out whether I live in the Matrix or not.
Wait, you're blowing my mind at this moment. So you're saying, are you saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers?
That is correct. So,
wait, I have to just be silent for a minute here. So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
Into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
It's not just sort of resembles computer code, you're saying it is computer code.
It's not even just is computer code, it's a special kind of computer code that was invented by a scientist named Claude Shannon in the 1940s. That's what we find very, very deeply inside the equations that occur in string theory. and in general in systems that we say are supersymmetric.
Not only does he talk about finding something that resembles computer code, he says it is computer code, and furthermore, it's a specific type of computer code. Wow. Also, people like Tesla founder Elon Musk thinks there's a very slim chance that we are in base reality.
The strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. That 40 years ago, we had Pong, like 2 rectangles and a dot. That
Right.
was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality, just indistinguishable. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be, billions of such, computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
Wow. Those are 2 possible leads right there. But let's talk about this from a common sense point of view, like how fast tech is growing, and specifically video games. I have a PSVR at home, and even then I get vertigo when I'm really high up, and that's just basic VR, not even top of the line. And you have to remember, we were only at Nintendo in the 80s, so considering how much games have evolved, there's not really that far to go before we have a simulated game where it feels so real it's hard to distinguish it from reality. This all seems to be tied up with even more mystical, abstract, and even downright magical ways of thinking. And really, this could explain that super strange feeling you get when you have sworn that you have been through this before, that deja vu feeling. Everybody has that. How do you explain it? Or that phenomenon where you believe something was the way it was for years, only to be confronted that it's not, with the Mandela effect. It's the Berenstain Bears, not the Berenstain Bears. Or even that time when you took too many mushrooms, or LSD, or that pop brownie. Speaking of drugs, did you hear about this DMT shit? The stuff people describe can't be told into words. They often say they can't accurately describe what they saw. They say it's sensory overload. Maybe what they saw was the mainframe of the real world, and what we see is like a watered down, super filtered version, so we don't get freaked out all the time. Maybe some drugs take you to the source or alternate dimensions. And furthermore, if there is proven that we are in a simulation, we can circle back to all these spiritual, religious talks, because there will be a creator, there will be an afterlife, there will be all kinds of things that will make those biblical tales seem pale in comparison as to what really can go on when you're living in a video game, dude. In closing, yeah, I think it's more than possible. However, I don't think we'll really know the answer in our lifetime if our universe is a simulation or not, simply because we are in it. But I'm more than sure we will have made a simulation of our own that feels indistinguishable from our own universe. And isn't that equally as freaky? Oh God, oh no, oh...